Hobbit Facts.
Hobbit Facts. Okay, did you know, everybody, that Tolkien actually invented the word dwarves? That would be Dwarves. Dwarves, not dwarfs, but dwarves. And why did he invent it? Well, according to his own words, it was a result of bad grammar. That was his words. So let me read you this quote from a letter he sent to Stanley Unwin, his publisher, on October 15th, 1937. He said this: "No reviewer that I have seen, although all have carefully used the correct dwarfs, Dwarfs, themselves, has commented on the fact, which I only became conscious of through reviews, that I use throughout the, quote, incorrect plural dwarves. I am afraid it is just a piece of private bad grammar, rather shocking in a philologist. But I shall have to go on with it. Perhaps my dwarf, since he and the gnome are only translations into approximate equivalents of creatures with different names and rather different functions in their own world, may be allowed a peculiar plural. The real historical plural of dwarf, like teeth of tooth, is dweros. Anyway, rather a nice word, but a bit too archaic. Still, I rather wish I had used the word dwero." He just likes the archaic. So it's funny that dwarves, as we all call them, like dwarfs seems weird now with the FS, but VES seems far more normal because he normalized it in
because Tolkien did it. Yes,
because it was a private piece of bad grammar. So
that's awesome.
But he accepted it, and he fought this for years. So even later, in 1961, in a letter to Rainer Unwin, you'll note the previous letter was to Stanley Unwin, Rainer's father, who was the original publisher of The Hobbit. He said this: dwarves with an apostrophe, and dwarvish have been corrected throughout. He's talking about a copy of The Lord of the Rings. They have been corrected throughout, with one exception on page 21, to the current dictionary forms dwarfs and dwarfish. Elvish has been changed to elfish 7 times, but unchanged 3 times. I view this procedure with dudgeon, which means indignation. I deliberately use dwarves for a special purpose and effect. Aha. Is he changing the past right there? Is he remembering it differently? He said, I deliberately use dwarves, etc., for a special purpose and effect. That it has an effect can be gauged by comparing the passages with the substitutes dwarfs, especially in verse. The point is dealt with in Lord of the Rings, page 415. Of course, I do not expect compositors or proofreaders to know that or to know anything about the history of the word dwarf, but I should have thought it might have occurred, if not a compositor or at least to a reader, that the author would not have consistently getting on for 300 times a particular form, nor would your readers have passed it. It was a mere casual mistake in grammar, if it was a mere casual mistake in grammar. So he's like, look, it wasn't like a typo for 300 times in the book. I said dwarves on purpose at this point. Although his memory is a little bit iffy that he says I did it for a special purpose and effect.
Well, I don't think so. I'm gonna defend him on this one. I think that if faced with his previous letter to the Unwin father, is it Stanley's the father?
Stanley Unwin is the father, yes.
Yeah. He would probably rightly point out, yes, back then it was a mistake and I went with it and I decided I had to go with it. And then I wrote some new books and that was a deliberate choice. And in other words, when he's responding to the first Unwin, he's responding with regard to Hobbit. By the time he writes the 3 new books, this is a deliberate choice.
No, so I know.
Yeah. He is doing it for a real
originally it might not have been a deliberate choice. It was more of a
mistake.
Piece of private bad grammar. Yes. In the Lord of the Rings it is a deliberate choice. However, at this point in The Hobbit where we are, it is not used for special purpose and effect.
No. But I like the sound of it better, and I agree with him. I agree with him on verse. Like when you try to chant or sing the word dwarfs instead of dwarves. Yeah, it just the F sound is difficult as an ending sound.
It's sort of like I don't believe the word is roofs, right? But a lot of people say the word roofs, even though it's roofs, because the FS is a little tough.
The word roof or rough or roof is pronounced differently in different regions of the country, of America anyway, and in England too. So interesting. But dwarves are now dwarves, and everyone uses it. I can say pretty firmly that basically everyone uses dwarves as the plural of dwarf.
Right. Although I'm trying to think of other FS words, and hoofs goes to hooves.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not out of the ordinary that this here
And
was
roof
just
goes
sort
to
of,
roofs.
yeah. In any case, I love this little bit of information. He created the word dwarves, VES, and we still use it, and everybody uses it. And now it's been changed so much that when you see dwarfs, FS, it feels a little weird, especially in fantasy. It feels
Mm-hmm.
a little weird. Anyway, there you go. That is your,
Nice.
and I love this little video, this little Hobbit stinger. Thank you, Austin. Thank you, Fra, for putting these together. That is your weekly
Hobbit Facts.